Good day, everyone. Merry meet. My name is Glennis, and I am the Witch of Whitetail Hollow. If you are new and you've just found my channel, welcome. I hope you hit the subscribe button and join me. It's all things magic, all things witchy. And if you're returning, well, you guys already know. Thank you so much for joining me. It means so much to me. And welcome to another Wednesday Witch's Brew. And yes, oh my goodness, yes, I am having a brew. It has been quite the week. I have been just at it nonstop. Of course, you guys know I love to be busy, but every witch has her limits. That's all I can say about that. But I have had actually a couple of different people ask me a couple of different questions, and they're very interesting. But first, I'm really thirsty. Excuse me. I've had someone actually ask me how I came about doing woodwork. And some of you may know or may not know, I do make barnwood signs, and I actually make them really starting from scratch. I mean, really raw barnwood. I actually had a old tobacco barn torn down on my property at the Hollow, and with what I could salvage and what I thought was appropriate, I salvaged, and I make barnwood signs, and I paint them, and I sand them, and I love them, and stain them, and the whole thing. But I've also made an outhouse for the Hollow, because every girl has her standards, and I have to have an outhouse. I mean, let's just leave it at that. I also put together a platform, a raised platform for me to be able to shower on at the Hollow. It's an outdoor shower, yes it is, and the only thing that is shielding me from the street, of course, is the distance, but is also, I actually put a blue tarp up, so if no one is going to come from this way, and no one's going to come from that way, or even behind me. They're going to have to come from that way. And all I can say is bless their hearts if they walk up on me. But anyway, there's a tarp up. But, I had a subscriber ask me about how I came about doing woodwork. Well, I kind of compare it to actually asking, how did you come about learning to cook? Because my mother, and my sister too, my mother didn't cook. No, I mean, she tried. She tried very hard, but she didn't cook at all. My grandmother did, but even my grandmother didn't teach me how to cook. And really, the bottom line is, as far as doing woodwork, building an outhouse, things like that, as far as the outhouse being built, all you have to do is Google it. And that's really what I did. I Googled it, and now I do have a little bit of outhouse experience from living up in the Yukon. So I have some experience, because believe me, when you start traveling highways in Alaska and the Yukon, and you stop to get gas or something to eat, it's going to be rare that you're going to find an indoor restroom. So I remember one time stopping, I don't know where it was in Alaska that I was, but driving, and I stopped to get gassed up, and I'm thinking, well, surely they've got a bathroom, because that's the one thing I learned when you're up north, and really north, wherever you're traveling to, point A to point B, if there's anything in between, if there's a place to gas, to eat, or whatever, you stop. No matter what. You don't say, oh, I'll hit the next one. The next one may be hours and hours and hours, and I mean a lot of hours. So it's few and far between, but that's where my outhouse experience came from. And I'm like, surely they have one. No, and he's like, that. And I'm like, oh. So, you know, you kind of have to do it. I have actually walked in thigh-high snow to get to an outhouse. Yes, I sure did. I mean, you know, you just kind of pick your feet up and trudge along and, you know, and you know, my only consolation was that there was no spiders or bugs or snakes. And that sounds really awful because it was way too cold. And then the reality is there was no snakes in the Yukon. So that was a comfort. But really, all I did was Google it on the internet and found an outhouse size that I thought would be okay for me, and you know, go from there. And to me, it's kind of like cooking. You know, you cut boards, you cut so many boards, 2x4s, you know, a certain length. You put them together, and it's not any different than following a recipe. And that's basically all that was done. I didn't have it assembled when I drove it from Nashville to the Hollow. It was in pieces, and the only thing that I actually really put, like, that I had to really improvise on was the roofing. Now, even the rafters and the trusses and all of that was already done in Nashville and assembled ahead of time. Everything was. But when I had the old tobacco barn torn down to make way for the new cabin, I salvaged as much metal roofing as I could that was off of it, and I put that on the outhouse with a ridge cap. Yes, I did the whole thing, and I screened the eaves so no bugs could fly in. And for the hole, of course, when they were doing work on the driveway, I actually had a piece of equipment come up and dig a very, very deep hole. I tried to physically myself, and I realized, yeah, I'm not going to get quite deep enough, not to satisfy me anyway. But they had the equipment there, and I said, well, they can do it. You know, it'll take them all of 10 minutes. And so that I had them do that. But the seat, I actually even lined up with like a Lowe's or Home Depot, like a plastic bucket, and I attached it, and I not screened it, but kind of like a chicken wire all the way down to the hole, so that anything that, you know, burrowed in simply could not come up into the outhouse, which, I mean, I love animals, I really do. I just don't want them crawling up the outhouse and scaring me to death. But she asked me how did I come about that. Well, you know, and in my mundane career, you guys already know I'm already dealing with contractors and measurements and, you know, things like that, hanging drapes, hanging artwork, and things like that. So, you know, to take it to another level, again, you guys know I'm already about taking it to another level, is really, for me, was not that difficult. So, you know, it was actually pretty easy. And I will be doing all of the interior refinishing or finishing of the cabin when the time comes, when I do get the time. And I'm really hoping by early spring that I'm going to be able to go up and spend a week at a time and really make a big difference and get the Hollow going, because retirement is very, very close and I can feel it knocking at the door. And so I really want to get there sooner rather than later. But I have all the hardwood floors here, and so, you know, I'm just not that shy about getting in there and rolling up my sleeves and tearing things up and putting things back together. And, you know, what is the expression? You fake it till you make it. So I figured I can't screw up too much. And now the other question was, someone is that's a subscriber and who I consider a very good friend, is moving into a new home, maybe new to her, and she was asking about protection and protection work And wow, that's like a huge, big subject. Probably the first thing that I would do, and I know that there's, I believe, pets involved in the scenario, and that's going to be really tough to do unless you can maybe corral them into a bedroom where they will kind of be out of the way for maybe an hour or something like that. Uh, but and what I'll do is I'll try to drop, I've posted so many videos because you guys know that I am so, I guess, what, gung-ho or passionate about protecting yourself, your home, protecting yourself, anytime you do any kind of magic, and even if you don't do magic, because simply because you never know what's lurking about. I certainly know what's lurking about, and so that's why I'm so passionate about home protection and protecting myself. And I follow certain protocols when I go to visit a cemetery because I know what's there. I've experienced it. I've been there, done that. And on a daily basis, I experience it because I do work with deities and I do work with demons. And they are here and they don't bother me. I mean, they try to, but good luck. I mean, really, after you deal with the commute back and forth to Nashville, please come on now. You know, you're not going to rattle me too much, but and that's really the truth. But I'm going to drop some links to. I would recommend, honestly, doing a whole home like circle, and that's basically finding north, south, east, the northernmost, southernmost, east, and west points of the interior of the home and casting a very large circle inside the home and working it from that point out. And of course, if you have new moon water or full moon water or holy water, I would consecrate all of the doorways. Now, not all around the doorways, but up above the doorways, you know, saying, I'm protected. You can't come near me. You can't harm me. Nothing can enter through this point. Windows, doors. I would definitely recommend red brick dust at the door steps. And again, I think it was you who asked me the question. A very easy way to get red brick dust. You guys, unless you don't have access to a red brick, please don't go buy red brick dust from a metaphysical shop unless, you know, you just really want to do it. It's so easy to just, if you have access to a red brick, find a red brick and take a drill. And again, wear your goggles, wear your hearing protection, you know, and a dust mask, and just take a drill to a red brick and just give it a good one, and you will definitely have red brick dust, okay? And that's, I mean, that's really easy enough. But I've actually shared my recipe with Florida water with you guys and my cleansing sprays, and I've actually gotten to the point now where I use my sage spray when, and although this is probably more information than you guys want to know, but when I change the sheets on my bed, I take my sheets off and just a very light mist of sage spray over my bed so that it will protect me. And of course, sage only does so much, and at some point, if it's that serious and you're looking at other things, then, you know, maybe you should contact me. But I've gotten to the point where I don't go and buy the products, the chemical products that you see out in the grocery stores anymore, because I find that what I have been making for myself has worked very, very well. I make my own sage spray, my own Florida water, which I'm not putting down the Florida water that you can find at your botanical or wherever it is that you find it. I mean, I'm sure it smells just wonderful, but I don't think that it has the intention, and I don't think it has the passion that you would have asking your deities to, and because when I'm making my Florida water, my sage spray, my cleansing spray, I ask my deities to work through me and through my hands, and I leave my Florida water, my sage spray, my cleansing spray on my altar for several days. And I honestly, I feel it makes a difference. I don't want to necessarily, as far as the scenario that I'm living in, I don't necessarily want to force everyone out, because no one that is here has meant any harm to me. So with that, I've got no worries there. But if you're facing something that you're not quite sure about, then, certainly just in your regular everyday routine, instead of grabbing the bottle of Febreze, get your sage spray. It's way more natural. It smells 100 times better. I mean, and sage is clinically proven to help. So there's just no need in spraying chemicals all around in your air. And when I want to freshen the air, I have a diffuser for my essential oils. I was burning essential oils today when I was using when I was making the Yule protection ornaments and jars. So yeah, you don't need to. All you have to do is go to your witchy cabinet, if you have one, and use what you have there. I find that it's just so much more effective. One thing, if you are moving into a new to you home, and if you are in a new to you relationship, just one piece of advice, and not that you asked, but I'm going to put it out there because, hey, it's my channel and I can. And I know things are going to be different, and things are going to be very exciting and all of that. And I know very, very well you know how to cook, so you got that. But what I would do, from my own experience, what I would do is, if I've gone to the trouble of, baking something in the oven, whether it be a roasted chicken or a roast or whatever, at this point, whatever, before the oven cools down, and it could be just like a little toaster oven, get a piece of aluminum foil and sprinkle probably a tablespoon size, or maybe a little bit more, not too much less, because you don't want it to burn. Turn your oven off, but just lay this piece of aluminum foil, hopefully on a cookie sheet, and place it in the oven. And with the oven off, close the oven up and let it warm the aluminum foil, and let it warm the cinnamon, and open the door just a crack if you can to the oven, and let the aroma of cinnamon fill your home. In my mundane job and in my magic life, I find that cinnamon, people respond favorably to it, very favorably to it. And it is, let's see, I'm going to just put it right out there because I've had a little bit of brew. Men absolutely will respond to the aroma of cinnamon in the house. And that's all I'm going to have to say about that. But it works every time, absolutely every single time. And, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'm going to do my very best to drop the links to the other videos that I have for my recipe for Florida water and my cleansing spray and my whole home cleanse and all of that. I'll do my absolute very best. But thank you. Thank you. I know you guys have been hanging in there with me, and I really so appreciate it so much. And if you guys have a question, comment, suggestion, whatever, by all means, drop it in the comments below, and I will see that, and I will be more than happy to answer anybody's questions, anybody's comments or suggestions. And if you know you have some ideas of your own, feel free, okay? I'm going to say thank you again. Merry part, and I so hope to merry meet again. Goodbye, guys.